the community. Well, so as this young lady said, I am a homeopath with a couple of hospitals, and also have been privileged to teach and mentor many students. I believe teaching is the biggest art of all, the biggest science of all, the biggest profession of all, because what we get today is through our teachers. So I feel it's my duty to pass it on, whatever small knowledge I have, to teacher community, to the common man, and also to the students. Friends, we all know about homeopathy. This topic is not about the history, but nevertheless, allow me to dwell for a few minutes on the history of homeopathy. The founder was a man called as Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who himself was an allopathic doctor during 200 or 300 years back. And after many years of practicing allopathy, it was not called as modern medicine then, it was called as allopathy. And he was convinced that for many illnesses, there has to be certain more subtler and certain more soft methods of treatment. Homeopathy is a serendipity. It was not supposed to be found. But while translating, he used to also bury himself in these books, which were downstairs. And he found out that cinchona is the medicine used for malaria during those times, cures malaria because of its bitter properties. Now he was an experimenter in his mind. So he said, why would a bitter substance cure malaria? So he actually started experimenting. Said that there are so many bitter substances. Why don't all bitter substances cure malaria? Then he took the cinchona himself. He administered that drug within himself, in himself. And he found that he started getting those rigors and chills. Then something dawned onto his mind, that is cinchona curing malaria because it has the power to create these symptoms. After many years of experience, he dawned to the idea that yes, like cures like. That a substance which has got a capability to produce certain set of symptoms has the capability also to remove those particular set of symptoms. And hence the discovery of homeopathy, called as similia similibus curantur, or likes cure likes. Well, then homeopathy spread all over the world. It also had a lot of rejections. But then anything which is scientific has to stay. The Indian diaspora also is interesting. It was during the time of British. And it was the homeopath from Calcutta who really took it up and spread it in a big way. Again, these Calcutta people were surgeons. So initially there was not a course in homeopathy per se. These were all surgeons from the old school, from the orthodox school, who enjoyed homeopathy and saw some miraculous results and became prime advocates of homeopathy. Well, there's the past now, and I would say that this city of Mumbai is now become the capital or the main area of homeopathy. That's about history. Now we come to the topic today. I've been called here to talk about common illnesses. And how do we treat common illnesses with homeopathy? The word common, I mean, how can you answer the word common? How something which is common for you may be uncommon for this gentleman, but something which is uncommon for me may be common for you. So we talk about that certain areas where homeopathy is used widely and which gives good amount of results. And let us not talk today about rare syndromes, because rare things are rare. Let us talk about common things, like which affect humanity 80 to 90% of times. We have these particular systems overall: the CNS, the psychiatric system, the respiratory system, the cardiac, the MSK, the GI tract, skin and urinary system. We'll talk a bit about everything and the role of homeopathy. The CNS. CNS, well, it's a very broad system. Today's topic is based on a few cases here and there. Now what is neuritis? Neuritis again is a broad word where we get tingling sensation in the hands and feet. Patient बोलते हैं कि हाथों में पैरों में मुंगी जैसे आता है. Try to understand whether it's homeopathy or allopathy or any system. One has to go behind the problem. What is the root cause? So any symptom you just can't prescribe. You must first find out, is it diabetes? Is it a carpal tunnel syndrome? Okay, is it a nerve pain? Is something pinching against the nerve? So investigations have to be done. It is a myth that homeopaths don't do investigations. It is not so. We have not been taught that way. You must understand what is the problem with the patient. And well, if the problem is solved, then certain drugs like agaricus, certain drugs like phosphorus are extremely useful in these cases of neuritis or neuralgias. So any nerve pain per se is called a neuritis. Trigeminal neuralgia is a sort of a neuritis. And there also drugs like gelsemium, drugs like causticum, drugs like phosphorus are immensely useful. One difference between homeopathy and modern medicine is that if 2 people are suffering from the same illness, or I would say if 5 people are suffering from the same illness, in modern medicine probably they'll get the same medicines, but in homeopathy we give 5 different medicines to different people. Because you may be getting the pain more in the morning. Madam may be having the pain more in the warm room. I may enjoy the AC, the pain becomes less. So everyone deserves different remedies because we treat the person and not his illness. It's a very, very, very individualistic science. The next area where it's useful in CNS is migraine. In fact, my topic of thesis in MD was migraine. This is an area where I can tell you with a lot of experience that we have got amazing results. And migraine is typically what? It's a headache. It's periodic headache. If a lady says that I'm getting headache every day over last 1 year, then that is not a migraine. That can be something else. Migraine has to be periodic. Aaj aaya hai, I get it every 1 week, every 1 month. It is mostly unilateral. It mostly many times it comes as an aura. You get weakness. So every headache is not a migraine headache. It's totally different headache altogether. And I would say here that we have been successfully treating migraine pains, and the drugs coming up are the constitutional drugs. Homeopathy is individualistic, but certain drugs like belladonna are immensely useful in acute management of pains. Natrum mur also is one of the great drugs. Gelsemium, glonoin, all these drugs are mainstay remedies in managing migraine. Epilepsy. I would say this is a challenge, not just to us, but also neurophysicians. But I have got cases where the neurophysician is treating the patient with epilepsy. Along with our medications, if we try, the attack frequency is definitely coming down. I am a very rational homeopath. Some homeopaths believe that ye band karo, wo band karo, keep my medicines on as well. But in case of epilepsy, I would prefer whatever allopathic medicine being on, kept on, and our medication as a supportive system. Memory loss, well, after 50 you start forgetting your keys. After 60 you start forgetting something more important. And after 70, 75 you may probably forget to wear your shirt also. It does happen. These are all cases of dementias. Okay, dementia means memory loss. And well, there are a lot of diagnoses for dementia. It can be something from Alzheimer's to vitamin B12 deficiency, alcoholic. A lot of things can cause dementia and memory loss. But with homeopathy, I would say we can achieve some amount of success in these memory lapses. But well, one can't change the age. Aging is the most certain thing. But well, to a certain extent we can manage these cases. Today in Mumbai city, or rather in any city in India which is a so-called a corporate city, lot of tension, stress, anxiety, sleep loss, continuous thinking. Yes, we homeopaths have a good amount of drugs to tackle all these problems. But again, one needs to understand that drugs are no miracles. Unless there is something from within, unless there is a desire to control all these things, one can't do. So most of our patients with these illnesses, we advise them that you must do yoga, you must do some counseling. In cases of psychotic states like schizophrenia, you need a proper psychiatric surveillance and also some medications. But even in schizophrenic patients, homeopathy can do as a supportive role in helping the patient to maintain more calm. This is one area where we do not take much chances. Because modern medicine today has a lot to offer in the management of hypertension. But again, we know cases where 2 drugs are going on, 3 drugs are going on, multi-drug regimen, yet the blood pressure is not coming down. And in these cases also, homeopathy can act as a supportive role. We have had cases where the allopathic medication has not been started at all, and we have maintained the blood pressure of a person with constitutional medicines. But it has to be done in a very rational way. Many a times homeopaths overshoot and they do not take into consideration their limitations. So one must have a constant and strict vigil that I am going to monitor the patient every day, twice a day, and then see whether the blood pressure is under control. But again, I will tell here that with allopathic drugs on, even our drugs, our homeopathic drugs on, we can have a good management of cardiac cases. Chest pain, well, chest pain nowadays, any even tingling in hand, perspiration, one must not waste time and rush to the nearest hospital which has got a good cardiac setup. We all know now, even a school child knows now that it may be a cardiac event. But in such cases also, we have drugs like cactus. We have certain other homeopathic drugs also which when taken will either help or will obviously not cause any harm. So we can have a so-called homeopathic emergency kit as well, which can definitely help in such acute catastrophes. There have been research conducted and there's been even enough evidence that post-surgical anxiety, post-surgical sleep loss, especially the big cardiac surgeries, you can help with homeopathy. And in many centers now, homeopathy and also music is routinely given to patients post-surgery in the ICCUs where they are recovering well, and the recovery is seen to be much faster than the other people who have not been given anything, or the placebo group. This is one area where we score a lot. Today everyone has aches and pains. And again, the reason behind these aches and pains is the increased amount of stress, lack of exercise. Today, even a school child says that I've got back pain, obviously because of the heavy bag which he carries and the amount of tuition which he goes on to. So these cases of pains, pain management is a very good area where homeopathy scores. People have spondylitic pains, people have lumbosacral radiating pains, people have mid-dorsal pains, people have pains in the hand, the periarthritic shoulder, the frozen shoulder. So these cases resort to good homeopathy. Now, I cannot say that which drug is for what state. I can't say offhand that Bryonia is good drug for, the spondylitic pains. Yes, Bryonia is a good drug. But there are so many drugs in homeopathy which are there for the cervical spondylosis. And the choice of the drug ultimately depends upon what type of symptoms you come with. A patient with neck pain sometimes has pain in the morning, the drug changes. This gentleman has pain in the afternoon, the drug changes. This gentleman has a pain as if the pins are pricking. This lady may be having a pain which is more on lifting even something very, very, very light. So the drug regimen changes. In fact, a patient, we give 2 drugs also sometimes in a span of 3 days. So it is not advisable, I would say here, just to take some over-the-counter homeopathic drugs. And half knowledge again is bad. There are a lot of people who are practicing homeopathy who are laymen. Well, they have done a good service to homeopathy and they have done a good service of spreading homeopathy. But I would say here that they should, take a degree, take the efforts of studying the anatomy. We've got so many books here, and then prescribe medically along with nice homeopathic principles. We've got great drugs for so-called the sciatica. Sciatica is not a medical word, it's lumbosacral radiating pains. We've got drugs like Guaicum, we have drugs like Lachesis, Lycopodium, Macphos, Belladonna, and these drugs relieve the sciatic pain. But again, one has to go behind the cause. If there's a disc, if a lumbosacral X-ray is showing a lot of incongruency, then we go for a MRI and you see a disc involved, then probably the line of treatment changes. So every homeopath also has to be aware that there may be something more than just a mild pain. And I don't hesitate in referring patients to orthopedics. I don't hesitate patients to go for surgery if required. But if not required, we can tackle these patients in and what is, I tell you, in all this system, rest is important. Rest is important. And the rest, leave to God. Yeah? Rheumatic pains. Well, this is also an area where I would say, if you tide over the crisis, you have great scope. the acute rheumatic pains of rheumatic arthritis, RA as you call, or seronegative spondyloarthropathies, SSA, is